When it comes to Day of the Jackal, through Eddie Redmayne's work in the development of his character, the Jackal, we're given perhaps one of the best anti-heroes of the year. So to summarize the season, after the assassination of a German politician, Europe is on high alert, and there's a question of who's the killer, how did they land such a massive shot considering the distance between where they estimate the shot came from and where the German politician was killed. And on top of that, there's a question of what is his origins, because nobody wants to be responsible or accountable for the person coming from their country. Now, while there are many agencies that are looking into this, the focus of the Day of the Jackal is MI6 looking into it, specifically one of the agents named Bianca, who's a sniper specialist, but despite her experience and knowledge, she has to fight to really get into the rooms, get her voice heard, and even become a lead in the investigation. But while she has her own talents, the person who's codenamed the Jackal has his own beyond just shooting, for he seems to be a semi-master of disguise. He's working with a man named Norman who can get him guns that easily can be built, never mind go through any type of security system. And on top of that, Norman is quite inventive himself, as shown by one of his later assassinations. But as Bianca is looking for the Jackal, she also is in a race against time, because it's figured out that the Jackal's next target is going to be a billionaire whose name is Oleg Charles, aka UDC, who is imminently going to release this software called River. River is supposed to allow for utter financial transparency, which, from what we're told, is mainly aimed at the individual, not necessarily companies or the government, but either way, many people don't want it out there. So Bianca is in a race against the Jackal from having this man of notable prominence and wealth from being killed. So getting to the first highlight, it's just how the Jackal operates as an assassin and how this show exhibits his action scenes. For what makes the Day of the Jackal special to me is that it has an intensity when it comes to the violence, but it isn't completely reliant on blood and, the act of seeing somebody murdered. Instead, sort of like Civil War was very much focused on, it wants you to experience the sound of war so that you understand the magnitude of it. When it comes to Day of the Jackal, it wants you to get into the mind of a sniper, but not like American Sniper, but rather it wants you to understand the patience it takes, the anxiety that can sometimes come, and how much that perfect shot can change things. Never mind, when it comes to the way the Jackal operates, it also wants you to very much understand the acceptance of violence as an option, carefully chosen rather than recklessly pursued, as we see with most action productions, which has it where chases, random gunfire all over the place, that is the hook, rather than a character who clearly knows how to utilize that either to make a statement, to finish a job, or in some cases to get away so they can fight another day. Getting to the next highlight, it's that the humanizing of the Jackal doesn't ruin the character. For oftentimes when they humanize someone who's a villain or anti-hero like the Jackal, it can sometimes feel like it's diminishing them. Like whether it's giving him a name like Charles, really digging into his past like it does in one episode, or even in the case of showing that he has a family in terms of his wife Nuria, or else his son. Oftentimes, the more human you make somebody like this, the less value they have, or else it seems like the more liabilities they have for someone like Bianca to take advantage of. But one of the benefits of Bianca and Charles being on a collision course is that the show also has it where they kind of mirror each other. Bianca, too, is married to somebody, a man in her case, and you can see that when it comes to Bianca, and we'll call him Charles since that's one of his main names used throughout the season, Charles and Bianca both are people who kind of struggle in their marriages because they're so committed to work. At the same time, they're also two people who have a lot of collateral damage in effort to complete the job that they're tasked with. And it kind of helps you see, as we compare the two, how there's really no hero that doesn't have blood on their hands, and no villain that doesn't have redeemable qualities, or else something that allows you to see them beyond the way the media may portray them. So getting to the final topic, it's just that when it comes to Bianca and what were presented as heroes in general, they pale in comparison to what is given by Charles. And as we mentioned in the last topic, Bianca and Charles in many ways mirror each other as characters. But the problem is, a lot of the stuff that they share, Charles' version of it is so much better. For example, both Bianca and Charles are married, but you're much more invested in Charles's marriage, even though Nuria has less of a life than Bianca's husband, Paul. And even when things get bad and you think there's a chance of separation, you do not give a damn about Bianca's family. You don't give a damn about Paul. You barely give a damn about Jasmine, even though she gets threatened within the season. What you're more thinking about is, when it comes to Nuria's relationship with Charles, is she going to perhaps reconcile with him, maybe become an asset and help him in his missions, or will she become a liability? And with her becoming a liability, considering what we've seen Charles do to other liabilities, will he take her out? Or because she's the mother to his son, will he try to figure out a different way to handle things? It's hard to say, but there's thought and interest when it comes to what's going on with him. With her, it's like, if you get divorced, maybe that's one less distraction for you. And then, even with saying that, one of the other issues when it comes to Bianca is that she often feels like she's playing catch up in trying to match Charles, yet it never happens. So oftentimes, even though you see that she's this underdog who's fighting to be recognized, to get this person to justice, she feels so neutered that you don't really take her seriously. And even though Lashana Lynch is a notable actress, I mean, she was in the James Bond franchise, she's in MCU, the Woman King she was second only to Viola Davis in that movie. You know what she can offer, you know the intensity, and it makes you think to yourself, yes, Eddie Redmayne has an Oscar, yes, he was part of the Fantastic Beasts franchise, but will they potentially lessen his character to big up hers? And for me, that was an issue throughout the majority of the season, to the point that it made it so with every gain, or every time there was something done better with Charles and Bianca, it made me truly fear how will they try to almost instantly have her measure up, or what kind of way they're going to make him falter so that she can have what maybe to somebody seems like a realistic victory. Overall, when it comes to the Day of the Jackal, while the heroes are often, if not always, underwhelming, at the same time, there's no denying that when it comes to the Jackal, Charles, whatever you want to call him, between the writing and Eddie Redmayne's performance, it compensates to the point where, when it comes to how this season ends, it really leaves you feeling that while this show can survive without Bianca, can it survive without the Jackal?